single day.
Hello students, good morning to you all, and today we can start a new lesson. We have already learned about the gaseous exchange in our respiratory system, and in continue that the respiratory system revision we can see, and in this class we are going to discuss about the different parts of the respiratory system and the functions of the different parts of human respiratory system. Okay, so let's see now. First, we must know about the definition for the word the respiration. I have told you many times about the definition for the word the respiration. A respiration means the breakdown of glucose molecule in the presence of oxygen and release energy. Okay, and it gives energy in this process, and the energy is the huge amount of energy. So respiration can be classified into two types. I told you, aerobic respiration, and another one is the anaerobic respiration. So aerobic respiration, the energy is released in the presence of oxygen while we break down the glucose molecule. At the same time, when you see the anaerobic respiration, the glucose molecule is broken down in the absence of oxygen and releasing a least quantity or less quantity of energy. That's the main difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. And here the definition given for this respiration, you just to see. Respiration is a chemical reaction that breaks down food molecules in living cells to release energy. Okay, and we always need to respire to perform lots of activities. These include, actually respiration is takes place in our body to perform various functions such as the respiratory system, digestive system, and all the metabolic process in our body requires energy. At the same time, the cell division, it's an important process, and the growth and development, and for all the process, muscle contraction, for running, with talking and writing, for all the process, our body requires energy. So the respiration is the continuous process in our body and supplies energy to all parts of the body to perform their function individually. Okay, let's see some of our examples now. So we can see here the first picture, muscle contraction that enables us to move. So what does it mean? So you can see for running, this picture you can see for running, walking, whatever maybe our body requires energy, right? And second, you see the active transport in a cells needs large amount of energy. The active transport we know very well. In the lower classes we have studied very clearly about the active transport. It means that the movement of ions from the region of a lower concentration to the region of higher concentration against the concentration gradient using energy from respiration. That is the main definition we have studied. So energy is playing major role here. Energy requirement is very important in active transport process. And then you can see this is a neuron. Okay, nervous system. In nervous system, it requires a lot of energy for performing the function, to control and coordinate, to convey the stimulus from the receptor to the effector, to the brain or to the central nervous system. For everything, energy is required. Okay, and next this picture you can see the cell division and a growth. Okay, so for cell division and growth, it is a very important. I told you, so energy is very important in our body. This energy is supplied to all parts of the body by the process of respiration. And you can see this picture, energy is released here. Okay, and while energy is released inside the body, the heat is also released. Okay, so when the heat is released, what will happen? The heat is stored in the body, and this is mainly for maintain the constant body temperature, okay, inside, and to keep the body warm, it requires always energy. Okay, so let's see now the different parts of the respiratory system. Okay, so you can see here, this is the nasal passage. First, nasal passage is what we can say, it's a nose, right? Nose is the nasal passage through which the gases goes inside. The gaseous exchange takes place through this. Next, oral cavity, then pharynx, larynx, trachea. You can see this is a trachea, this part, And the trachea again is divided into two parts, and one part is going to division. One division goes in the right lung and another division goes to the left lung. Okay, so this branch we can say the bronchi. Bronchi means what? The branch which divides from the trachea to different lungs. Okay, both left side lung and right side lung. So this part is the lung and the heart is inside. This is the heart and ribs are there. Okay, we know very well the ribs. Okay, students, now this is what we can say the different parts found in the human respiratory system. The human respiratory system is made up of air passages, lungs, and the respiratory muscles. Okay, let's see now one by one. So first, let's see about the nose. Right? What is nose? Nose, we know very well. In one sense organ, also we can say, and through which the gaseous exchange or the breathing is takes place. Okay, the most breathing and gas exchange occur through the nose. Okay. And next you can see it's lined by a layer of mucus and a hair to trap the dust and germs in the air. When we inhale the air from the atmosphere, it contains a lot of germs, dust particles, and bacteria. Many things are there. But in the nose, you can see there are small hair-like structures. Hairs are present, and with the mucus, and these hairs and mucus traps all the unwanted particles which mix with this atmospheric air, such as the germs, dust particles, whatever it may be. Okay, and also it is supplied with a dense network of blood capillaries to warm the air entering the body. So outside the air is very dry, it's very hot. When it enters the body, it gives the moisture. Okay, because according to the body temperature. So that you can see inside the nose, it's a dense arc of blood capillaries are there. Due to that, that area becomes very warm, and when the air enters through the nose, also getting warm when it reaches the lungs. Okay, this is the nose important points. Next we can see the pharynx. Okay, the pharynx, what is pharynx? Pharynx is a tube like structure. Okay, here it is there, and the pharynx used for both digestive system and respiratory system. It connects and a two-way transport it is, but there is a glottis, epiglottis, one cap-like structure is there. So it will close when we swallow the food, okay, and it opens when we respire, when we breathe the air. That is what given here. You can see here the word epiglottis. Okay, epiglottis is a one cover, or we can say one lid for the pharynx. So pharynx works together with the epiglottis to block the nasal cavity and the trachea during swallowing. You can see swallowing food. So when we swallow food, what will happen? It will close, right? And the food will go to the digestive tract. So when we breathe, it opens again, and the breathing air goes to the lungs. Okay, to prevent it entering from the respiratory system. Sometimes when the food particles enters the respiratory system, sometimes you can see while we get sneezing during the time of eating, that particles, food particles come through the nose. This is because of this epiglottis opening. That is why. Okay, so this is the different parts and functions of the pharynx. And let's see, the next part is the trachea. Trachea, I told you, it's a tube-like structure and it is cartilage structure. It's otherwise called as windpipe. Okay, this is a tube that connects the nasal cavity and larynx to the lungs. Okay, so next to pharynx, there area we can call it as a larynx. This larynx connects to the lungs with the bronchi, right? The trachea finally divides into two branches. One branch go to the left lung and another one go to the right lung. Okay, so this is the tube-like structure that connects the nasal cavity and larynx to the lungs. It's lined with a layer of ciliated epithelium cells and a goblet cells which secrete mucus that traps bacteria and a dust from inhaled air and gets more upwards to the larynx by cilia. When you see the trachea, inside the trachea, there are hair-like structure present. This hair-like appearance we can call as cilia. So this cilia and goblet cells are present. Goblet cells are responsible for releasing the mucus. The mucus is released by goblet cells. Don't forget at any time. Okay. And the main function of this cilia is it pushing the mucus secreted from this goblet cell pushing towards the throat region, and sometimes we swallow this mucus and it gets contaminated in the stomach. Because in the stomach you can see there is a hydrochloric acid, right? It is digested there or neutralized there, okay? So it's then either spit out or swallowed to the stomach where it is eliminated by acid, okay? So sometimes when the cilia present inside the trachea pushing the mucus towards the throat, sometimes we spit outside the mucus or sometimes we may swallow. So when we swallow, it reaches the stomach where the hydrochloric acid is there and it is eliminated there, okay? Okay, let's see the next part is the bronchi. Bronchi is the branch which divides from the trachea to the different lungs, okay, two different side of lungs, left lung and right lung. So when the trachea reaches the lungs, it is divided into two tubes, right? It's divided into two tubes. You can see it's divided into two tubes. One goes to the right lung and another one goes to the left lung. That is a bronchi. Bronchi is a branch. It is Y-shaped, okay? Inverted Y-shaped, okay? The trachea, at the end of the trachea, it is divided into two tube-like structure. One tube goes to the right lung, another tube goes to the left lung. That's all, okay? So let's see the next one, okay? So these are called bronchi. This is called bronchi, okay? So the bronchi are then divided into bronchioles that enter deeper into the lungs, okay? So you can see the another word. This word you see the bronchioles, okay? What is meant by bronchioles? So the bronchi again divided into many branches inside the lungs, millions of branches inside the lungs. That branch is called as the bronchioles, okay? And that extended deeper means it is sunken or it is present inside deeply in the lungs, okay? So it contains the alveoli. Alveoli is the important part, sac-like structure through which the gaseous exchange takes place. Let's see next, okay? So see the alveoli. Alveoli means it is a air sac, we can say. These are tiny bags full of gas, okay? It's a tiny bags, we can say. It's full of gas. They are present in the lungs in the large amounts, okay? Several million alveolus in each lungs. That is a very, very important thing. So these are the tiny bag-like structure full of gases. When we inhale the air, it reaches trachea and bronchioles, then finally reaches the alveolus. The alveolus closely lined with the blood capillaries so that the diffusion takes place and oxygen diffuses inside the blood capillaries to the RBC and carbon dioxide from the bloodstream diffuses out through the alveoli, okay? So that's a very important thing. Next, you can see they give lungs a much larger surface area. So what's the main function of this alveoli? It gives much larger surface area for the fastest diffusion of gases between them and the blood, okay? That is very important. The alveolus is a very minute and large number is present and which gives the firm diffusion. It increases the surface area for the diffusion, okay, between the blood and alveolus. Okay, students? So next to rib gauge, you know rib gauge very well. The bones are called as the rib gauge, right? So the lungs are protected by this cage of bones. It is present. There are 12 pairs of ribs and one pair extend from the first 12 vertebrates of the vertebral column. In vertebral column, you see the both side bones are there. That is called as vertebrae. And 12 pairs of ribs, one pair extends from one of the first 12 vertebrae. So one of the first 12 vertebrae, one ribs or extend, okay? From there only it is extending. You can show you the picture, then you can understand clearly. So all of the ribs except for the two last two pairs are connected to the sternum, the chest bone, okay? So except the last two pairs, other 10 pairs are connected with the chest bone. The name of the chest bone is the sternum, okay? And each pair of rib is connected to pairs above mentioned the muscle fibers called intercostal muscles, okay? So each of the what we can say, the ribs are connected with one another by means of a special type of a muscle called as intercostal muscles. The ribcage and the lungs are separated by an elastic layer called pleural membrane. What is pleural membrane? Pleural membrane means the ribcage and the lungs are separated. Okay, so the in between the gap between the lungs and this, what we can say, rib cage. Okay, that space, or that is a membrane called as this pleural membrane, or pleura. In a short, we can say the pleura, and it protects the lungs from damage caused by the friction and the rib cage during breathing. So what's the function of this pleural membrane? It protects the lung when it met any mechanical injuries. Okay, so we have studied the sternum, intercostal muscles, pleural membrane, and the function, it protects the lungs from any mechanical injuries. Okay, you can see this is the rib cage. Clearly you can see. Okay, so this is the rib bones, we can say bones. This is the ribs. Okay, and this part is the sternum, we can say, and last two part you can see separated, and then here you can see it is joined this place with the backbone vertebrae. Okay, so inside you can see this part, no, lungs are present, and inside heart is also present. So this is the structure of the rib cage. Okay, you can understand very clearly, I think. So next, diaphragm. So the diaphragm is present. You can see again the picture is here. I will tell you where is the diagram. So diaphragm, this is a sheath of muscles that separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal region. So you can, before that I will show that picture, big size picture, you can understand. So this is the rib cage, right? In rib cage you see below this area, abdomen, we can say the abdominal region. This is chest region, right? So in between these two regions, this area is there, right? So this area is called as diaphragm, we can say diaphragm. So diaphragm is the area which separates the abdominal region and chest part. Chest part we can call thoracic cavity. Okay, so chest part we can call as thoracic cavity. Now we can see, and this is a sheath of muscles that separates a thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. You can understand now, right? And together with the ribs and the intercostal muscles, it's play a big role in a breathing and a gaseous exchange that we will study. Ribs and intercostal muscles are playing major role in breathing. Okay, in the gaseous exchange, we will see about that inhale and exhale process. So you can see very clearly from this picture about the diaphragm. Okay,